You mentioned, women
Hmm.
a minute ago. What are the parallels there?
In terms of women and the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, or like their struggle, even, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think women, African Americans, and other people of color in the LGBTQ community follow a similar path in the sense that there were lots of laws and the society structure stacked against us, right? So women, I mean, they struggled for the right to vote. They couldn't own property, right, without their husband's signature. They couldn't get an education. They couldn't vote. There were pay discrimination, all those sorts of things that were stacked against them that they've had to fight and continue to fight to overcome, right? African American community, obviously a huge, injustice, as they were enslaved, and then even when they were freed, like the laws were stacked against them. Especially after the Civil War, we thought, hey, slavery's over, but it was just as bad, right, in terms of the laws. And at that point, the laws were saying, yeah, it allowed some of the things to happen, right, that violated their right or their right to vote, to have an education, and such. And so the LGBTQ community has had its own struggle with attaining equality. And again, it's about equality. It's not special rights, which is what some folks on the other end of the political, well, on one end of the political spectrum will say, oh, you want special rights. It's not. No, we want the same rights. But from the LGBTQ journey, I mean, we were classified, if you were gay or transgender, you were classified as a mental health disorder, right? So that's what the doctors told you. Religion told you it was bad to be a homosexual. And then there were laws that were subtly and on the books that prohibited you from living your life. You could be fired for being gay. The government went, and it's called the Lavender Scare. They went and targeted homosexuals working in the government in the 1950s because they thought they were going to be prone to blackmail by the communists. And so they routed out like thousands of people from government, even in Nazi Germany, right? So once the Allied forces freed the concentration camps, many of the people that were in there, for the men who were in there for being gay, were put back in jail because the laws were against, said you couldn't be homosexual. So lots of history there, and just in terms of the societal structure has been against homosexuals. If you think about it, though, you get labeled as someone who has a mental disorder. You get fired from your job. How can you ever make a living for yourself? How can you develop any wealth so that you can actually be a productive contributor to society? And you can't have a family, so you have that money that you make, if you do, or if you're successful, to be in the closet in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and don't get fired for your job. You amass a wealth, and then what do you do with it? You can't have a family or kids, so you don't really have anyone to pass it down to. So there are a number of things that have set the LGBTQ community back. Again, you can't compare it to women or people of color, but you acknowledge that there has been a struggle, and it's based on the society structure that's been in place for centuries.